Welcome back to Record Rift, where we dive into the epic stories that shaped our world. Today, we're journeying to the heart of Mesoamerica, to a civilization of dazzling cities, blood-soaked temples, and fierce warriors, the Aztec Empire. Rising from humble beginnings, the Aztecs built a powerhouse that dominated central Mexico, only to face a catastrophic fall at the hands of Spanish conquerors. Picture a city floating on a lake, its pyramids gleaming under the sun, and a people whose ambition rivaled their gods' hunger for sacrifice. What drove the Aztecs to greatness? How did they fall so swiftly? Over the next 20 minutes, we'll trace the rise and fall of the Aztec Empire, from its mythical origins to its brutal end. Join us as we uncover a story of triumph, faith, and conquest. Let's begin. The story of the Aztecs begins in the 13th century, in a rugged land of volcanoes and lakes that we now call Mexico. According to their legends, the Aztecs, or Mexica, were a nomadic people guided by their god Huitzilopochtli, the deity of war and the sun. He promised them a homeland where an eagle would perch on a cactus, devouring a snake. Around 1325, they found this sign on a swampy island in Lake Texcoco. Here, they founded Tenochtitlan, a city that would become the heart of their empire. But the Mexica were not born great. They were outsiders, scorned by powerful city-states like Azcapotzalco and Culhuacan. To survive, they became mercenaries, honing their skills in war and diplomacy. By the early 14th century, the Mexica were carving out a place in the Valley of Mexico. They drained swamps, built artificial islands called chinampas for farming, and turned Tenochtitlan into a thriving hub. Their society was rigid. Nobles, priests, and warriors held power, while commoners and slaves toiled. Religion drove everything. The Aztecs believed their gods demanded human sacrifice to keep the sun rising and the world spinning. This faith fueled their ambition, but also their enemies' fear. Through strategic marriages and alliances, the Mexica gained influence, setting the stage for their rise. Imagine a people once wanderers, building a city of canals and temples, ready to dominate a world they believed was theirs to claim. The Aztec Empire truly emerged in 1428, when Tenochtitlan, allied with Texcoco and Tlacopan, formed the Triple Alliance. This coalition overthrew the dominant city of Azcapotzalco, marking the Mexica's ascent. Under rulers like Itzcoatl and his nephew Moctezuma I, the Aztecs expanded through conquest and tribute. By the 1480s, their empire stretched from the Pacific to the Gulf of Mexico, encompassing 5 to 6 million people across hundreds of city-states. They didn't rule directly. Instead, they demanded tribute, maize, jade, feathers, and captives for sacrifice. This system enriched Tenochtitlan, turning it into a metropolis of 200,000 people, rivaling Paris or Constantinople. The Aztecs were master builders and warriors. Tenochtitlan, built on Lake Texcoco, was a marvel of engineering, with causeways, aqueducts, and the massive Templo Mayor, a pyramid dedicated to Huitzilopochtli. Their military was relentless, using obsidian-tipped weapons and capturing enemies for sacrifice. The Flower Wars, ritual battles with rivals like Tlaxcala, ensured a steady supply of captives. Aztec society thrived on order. Priests read the stars, merchants traded as far as Guatemala, and farmers grew maize on chinampas. Yet, their reliance on tribute and sacrifice bred resentment. Subjugated cities paid dearly, and enemies like the Tlaxcalans waited for a chance to strike back. At its peak under a Huitzilopochtli in the late 15th century, the Aztec Empire was a juggernaut, but its foundations were fragile. By the early 16th century, under Moctezuma II, the Aztec Empire was at its zenith. Tenochtitlan was a dazzling capital, its markets bustling with cacao, turquoise, and exotic goods. Spanish conquistador Bernal Diaz del Castillo, who saw it in 1519, described it as a dreamlike city, with towers and temples rising from the water. The Templo Mayor hosted grand ceremonies, where thousands of captives were sacrificed to appease the gods. Some estimate 20,000 at its rededication in 1487. Religion permeated life. Festivals, dances, and offerings kept a cosmic order. The Aztecs' art, from intricate featherwork to stone carvings like the sunstone, showcased their skill and worldview. Education was universal, with schools for nobles and commoners alike. The Aztecs recorded history in codices, painted books that chronicle their conquests and myths. Their calendar, blending solar and ritual cycles, was a marvel of precision. Trade networks brought wealth, while alliances kept the empire stable. Yet, cracks were forming. Moctezuma II's heavy taxes and demand for sacrifices alienated vassal states. Rumors of pale-skinned strangers, prophesied as a return of the god Quetzalcoatl, stirred unease. The Aztecs were mighty, but their world was about to collide with an unstoppable force. In 1519, everything changed. Hernán Cortés, a Spanish conquistador with 500 men, landed on Mexico's coast. Driven by greed for gold and glory, Cortés allied with the Tlaxcalans, bitter enemies of the Aztecs. Moctezuma II, unsure Cortés was a god or invader, invited him to Tenochtitlan. The Spanish marveled at the city, but soon took Moctezuma hostage, sparking tension. In 1520, during a festival, Spanish troops massacred Aztec nobles, igniting rebellion. The Aztecs drove Cortés out in the Noche Triste, but Moctezuma was killed, either by his own people or the Spanish. Cortés regrouped, building ships to besiege Tenochtitlan. In 1521, aided by Tlaxcalan warriors and smallpox, which decimated the Aztecs, he launched a brutal assault. The city's canals ran red as the Aztecs, led by Cuauhtémoc, fought fiercely. After 3 months, Tenochtitlan fell on August 13, 1521. The Spanish razed the city, building Mexico City on its ruins. Smallpox, introduced by Europeans, killed millions, weakening resistance. The Aztec Empire collapsed, its people enslaved or converted to Christianity. The fall was swift but devastating, ending a civilization in a matter of years. The Aztec Empire's fall marked the rise of New Spain, but its legacy endures. Aztec culture lives in Mexico's language, food, and traditions. Nahuatl words like tomato and chocolate are global, and Day of the Dead echoes Aztec rituals. Their descendants, the Nahua, still thrive, and archaeological sites like Teotihuacan draw millions. The conquest horrors, disease, slavery, and cultural erasure shaped colonial history and sparked debates about imperialism. The Aztec story is a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, but also a warning of how quickly greatness can crumble. Their art, codices, and ruins remind us of civilization that rivaled any in its time, forever etched in history's rift. That's the epic saga of the Aztec Empire, a tale of ambition, glory, and tragic collapse. What do you think? Could the Aztecs have repelled the Spanish, or was their fall inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let us know what historical epic you want us to explore next on Record Rift. If this journey through Mesoamerica gripped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our quest through history. Until next time, keep uncovering the rifts that shape our past. This is Record Rift, signing off.